Good evening.
Recording in progress.
I'd like to call the meeting of the Carpinteria Valley Water District to order. Can we have the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Item number 2, Lisa, if we have the roll call, please.
Director O'Connor?
Here.
Director Holcomb?
Here.
Director Balch?
Here.
Director Roberts?
Here.
Director Van Wingerden?
Yes.
5 present.
Then I'd like to make an announcement. We're pulling item 8D and 8E from the agenda. Also, I'd like to introduce Kelly Dyer, our new general manager. So you're very welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm honored, privileged, and grateful to be here serving the community of Carpinteria. It's been wonderful. I've been reconnecting with some of my former colleagues at the various water agencies in Santa Barbara County, and also I really want to commend the board on the transition and the staff, former general manager Bob McDonald. It's just been wonderful. Everyone's been very helpful, and I'm grateful to have him sitting next to me as I get up to speed on everything. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you. Item number 4, the consent agenda. Item number 4A, any questions? Item 4B, any questions? Item 4C, any questions? Then item 4D, any questions? If there are none.
Motion to approve items 4A through D.
Holly seconds.
We got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? No, roll call, please.
Director O'Connor?
Aye.
Director Holcomb?
Yes.
Director Balch?
Aye.
Director Roberts?
Aye.
Director Van Wingerden?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Then we got item number 5, unfinished business, none. Then item number 6, we adjourn to the regular board meeting of the Carpinteria Groundwater Sustainability Agency. And I call that meeting to order. Item number 2, public forum. Any person may address the board of directors on any matter within its jurisdiction which is not on the agenda. Anything? Scott, you're not talking tonight? No. Disappointed, answer no. Item number 3, the consent agenda. Any questions on item number 3A? Any questions on item 3B? Any questions on item 3C? If there's no questions.
Polly makes a motion to approve the approval items.
Second.
The consent.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? And a roll call, please.
Director O'Connor?
Aye.
Director Holcomb?
Yes.
Director Balch? Director Roberts?
Aye.
Director Van Wingerden?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Then we got item number 4, unfinished business, none. Item number 5, the Carpinteria Groundwater Sustainability Agency Board reorganization for the calendar year of 2026. We got number 5A to ratify Kees van Wingerden as the chairperson. Let's do all, let's run 5A, B, and C together then. So 5A, and then we got 5B, ratified vice chairman Casey, and then ratified C, the staff appointments, executive director Kelly, treasurer Norma, and then board secretary Lisa, and alternate board secretary Kelly. If we can have a motion for those 3 items, please.
So moved.
We got a motion and a second. Any
Second.
more discussion?
Did we want to do attorneys as part of that or no?
I'll take them in the next.
Oh, gotcha.
We got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Then roll call, please.
Director O'Connor?
Aye.
Director Holcomb?
Yes.
Director Balch?
Aye.
Director Roberts?
Aye.
Director Van Wingerden?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Sorry, Paula, you're right.
No, that's okay.
I should have included
Wasn't
it.
sure if there was.
One of those next page things.
Yeah,
Yes,
so,
sir.
so then we got item number, hang on. Yeah, C4, attorneys. We have interim general counsel Michael Pellegrini of Myers, Withers, Gibson, Jones, Feingold, LLP, alternate Stephen Lee. Then we got item number 4B, special counsel, groundwater, and the SGMA Jeremy Youngries with Rutten and Tucker, LLP. We got number D, ratified location, time, and day of regular board meetings at either Carpinteria City Hall 5775 Carpenter Avenue, Carpinteria, or the Carpinteria Valley Water District Boardroom, 1301 Sentiness Avenue, Carpinteria, 5:35 p.m. on any given Wednesday or by teleconference as permitted under California SB 707. We got number E, ratify the matter by which special board meetings are called, section 54946 of the Government Code. Then we got F, ratify establishing rubber rules of order for all proceedings. Item G, ratify establishment of board oversight of financial transactions, all directors, with the requirement that all bills, statements, invoices, or claims exceeding $300 are reviewed and approved by one member of the committee on a rotating basis, that each member be provided with a list of the routine monthly bills, purchases, bills smaller than $300 to be approved by the general manager. If we can have a motion on all this, please.
Polly makes a motion to approve.
Matt seconds.
We got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Roll call, please.
Director O'Connor?
Aye.
Director Holcomb?
Yes.
Director Balch?
Aye.
Director Roberts?
Aye.
Director Van Wingerden?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Then we got item number 6A, consider resolution number 041, updating check signers for the GSA account for action. Kelly?
Yes, this is a kind of a procedural item. It's, the primary change is removing Bob and adding me to the check signers. And Norma, I didn't know if you had anything else to add.
No, I don't. That's it.
I'll move for approval.
Second.
We got a
Patrick?
motion and a second. Any more discussion? Roll call, please.
Director O'Connor?
Aye.
Director Holcomb?
Yes.
Director Balch?
Aye.
Director Roberts?
Aye.
Director Van Wingerden?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Item number 6B, consider updated water level conditions in the Carpinteria Basin. For information, Kelly?
Thank you, directors. I'm going to hand this one over to Bob.
Yes, thank you. This is a report that Mr. Vanderkar has been a report that Mr. Vanderkar has been requesting for some time. We plan to do it quarterly. I think that's a reasonable interval for groundwater. Groundwater doesn't change very fast, but I think in quarter by quarter it will. So just before we get to the hydrographs, this is a map of the Carpinteria groundwater basin, the blue shaded area. The red and white dots are all monitoring wells that we measure. There are many other, about 40 other monitoring wells that we measure for water level. So what this is this is a representative sample of some of the wells that we measure every month. And the hope is that this kind of gives you a sense of what the water levels are doing kind of across the whole basin. So with the hydrographs, we'll start from the west and go towards the east. So the first one will be the Sentinel wells, and the last one will be this well in the storage unit number 2. So this is the shallow, sometimes we call it the Century well, but I'm going to refer to it as the Sentinel well. And, the the range here is from I believe it's the end of 24 to the end of 25. So you kind of see, actually, I'm sorry, let me look at this a little bit closer. Actually, I think it's back to 2013.
2019.
2019? Okay. I can't see that.
Oh, you can't see,
Yeah,
okay.
my eyes are.
It's it goes back to September 2019.
Yeah. So a few years, and you can kind of see there was a bit of a drought in right after 2019. I think this was 2020 and 2021. Then it rebounded up above sea level. This is the shallow well, so this is the first well that will rebound from low levels. It's hard to determine what is making this rebound because it's right on the ocean. It could actually be seawater that's pushing the levels up. But as we have been sampling water quality, we have not seen chlorides in this zone, so it's likely fresh water that's pushing it up. This represents kind of the winter that we're in, and so you can see rising levels. And these peaks were previous years, and so by the end of this winter, we'll see if it rises to the same levels as these previous years. This is the intermediate sentinel well, and same pattern. You can see the two previous years popped up above sea level. This one currently is lower. This is, I would say, a lot of pumping happens in this B zone, and so it may be stunted a little bit compared to the other zones. And then finally, the deep well, aquifer zone C. Again, you see the pattern, the two previous years in the winter, and here we are almost matching those. 19F4 is another well near Arroyo Paradon Creek, north of 192. So this kind of shows you what's going on in that part of the basin. Again, a lot of dips here and peaks that represent seasonal changes. But you can see here, this was the beginning of the drought, declining through 2016. So this was the low water level. This is probably an anomalous sample, either affected by nearby pumping or just an error in the data collection. But you can see, starting the last few years, this has been recovering. That could be because other area pumpers are not pumping as much. Could be because of the rainfall. But you can see this has rise significantly, even above the, yeah, this one is 2013, yeah, even above the pre-drought levels. So that's significant for that part of the part of the basin. And then 19K5 is a little bit further further east from the previous well. And again, you can see this is kind of trending upwards. So actually this well, we're not sure if it's hasn't been used in a while, and it's just sort of recovering over time. But you do have a couple of seasonal peaks here. You can see that, and here we are below that last two seasonal peaks. This is headquarters well, so obviously, or it's Santa Ynez well, but which is right next to headquarters well. So this well, this monitoring well, is affected by pumping at headquarters, and so you see these red squares. Those indicate that headquarters was pumping at the time of testing, and you can kind of look at this as a trend. So it's trending upward over, since 2013 to this point, and so it's not quite at sea level, which is important for this well because it's a drinking water well, and we don't want to start seeing evidence of seawater. 20K4 is kind of in the center of the basin. It's high school. It's previously the high school well. It's been inactive, and we use it as a monitoring well. Again, you can kind of see the effects of drought, and then seasonal peaks one after another. More recently, you can kind of see these seasonal peaks are aligned with the last sample that we took in December. So because we got rain earlier this year, this probably is higher than it would be, because normally we get most of our rain in February and March, but we're already there. So this might rise above these two peaks, which would be a good thing. Similar pattern here at Lyons Well. We also use that well as a monitoring well because it's inactive. And you can kind of see these previous peaks. It is an upward trend. Still below sea level, though, and still not recovered from the pre-drought condition. Smiley Well. This is an interesting well. It drops over, it drops every year, but during the drought, it was really dropping precipitously. And this wasn't only because of our pumping. A lot of area wells were pumping in that period, so really drew the basin down. We sort of hit bottom here in 21 or 22, and then we started recovering. And, this is the last sample. It was in end of December. And again, here's the previous year's peak, and then the previous year before that. So you can see that it's trending upward. We'll see if this sample continues upward. Not recovered to pre-drought conditions, but getting closer. This is 34G1. You may recall that there's a storage unit number 2 in the basin, which is geologically very different than our storage unit number 1, where we get all of our groundwater. This is basically a fractured rock portion of the basin because of a fault, the Rincon fault, that has made this section unlike our alluvial materials in the unit 1. So it generally has no pumpers and generally has nowhere to go. So it's a very stable water level, but the water quality is very poor. And that's it. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them or try.
Thank you, Bob. No questions?
May I make a couple comments on that?
You want to step up, but then fill out the slip when you're done, please.
Okay. Yeah, so Scott Vanderkar, and thank you very much, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who appreciates this information, Bob. This is terrific. I wanted to just point out a couple things that catch my eye, and I certainly don't have a trained eye for this, but the depth is not the same on the, I think it's the x-axis, the vertical axis. So those first charts on those wells were really shallow levels, and then as you went further on, you got into deeper ones. Just recognizing that in different parts of the basin, and it's significant, and a lot of the growers that I talk to, and myself included, have relatively shallow wells where the total depth is 250, 300 feet, something like that. And so it indicates that these are reacting similar to the private wells, and that makes me ask the question of, and not expecting an answer, but just the question of, especially, for instance, with the Smiley well, I know that there are ag wells in that neighborhood, and it would be really interesting to know if they're following a similar pattern, especially in light of, I believe, hearing at one time maybe the district wanting to do some work on the Smiley well and maybe increasing the production or doing something that might or might not affect surrounding ag wells, but just, I guess, lending to that desire of having as much information from the local ag wells to help kind of substantiate these kinds of numbers. So those are just my quick comments to bring to your attention. And I'm not sure I'll get up here again this evening, but if not, I do want to thank Bob for his years of service, and he's become a good friend in this whole process, and he's been very patient with myself and other growers because we are the lay people in the room and don't always catch all this stuff. So thank you, and thank you for your service, and we certainly wish you well as you go forward into your next adventure. Thanks, Bob.
Then we got item number 6, C, consider outreach activity for the well registration and metering program. Kelly?
Yes, we do have some deadlines coming up for well owners on March 31st, and so we are really ramping up our outreach on what needs to be done. with the well registration and metering policy, and Bob's going to go over all the materials that are going to be distributed in the coming days.
Yes, so as you know, the clock is ticking, and we really want all farmers who own wells and non-farmers to be aware that March 31st is the deadline outlined in the well registration and metering policy. And so we've been working to get the word out through various channels of outreach and engagement. We've identified some priorities to help us do that. You can kind of see here listed our 4 priorities. Frequently asked questions on the website, so we wanted to have that, there so you can easily see and understand the policy. We worked on a press release for the Coastal View News, and that will be in tomorrow's paper. And so that's going to probably get a few eyes on it, and we'll probably get some calls later this week. We have a flyer that we use and pin up at various locations in the city, public locations, and we're updating that, really highlighting the fact that March 31st is coming, and these are the things that need to get done. And then the biggie, we plan to direct mail a letter to all ag customers and known well owners, and that will happen the first week of February. So with that, we're fairly confident that people will understand the deadline and call with questions if they have them. So this is kind of the schedule, and I mentioned that that last item will be done end of next week, the first week of February, which is mail letters to owners. So that's the biggest lift. We'll be sending out somewhere around 400 to 500 letters, and then hopefully after that we'll continue to use our channels like social media and website, newsletters, articles to keep it high and in front of mind for people. Then if growers don't meet the deadline, it doesn't mean that they shouldn't keep going, because what will happen is this year we're still estimating the pumping until we have about a year's worth of data from the meters. And the sooner they can install their meter, the better, because that data, the estimated data, is going to be used for those months that they don't have a meter installed. And the crop factor that we'll be using is the highest crop factor, so actually they'll be paying the highest amount that they could pay if they don't have a meter in. So that's an incentive also to go ahead and install the meter.
Are we telling them that in the thing that we're in the mailing to them? Are we saying, if you don't do this by March 31st, here's how we are going to estimate?
Yeah, we have in the past, but we can reinforce
Just so they
it in
understand,
our
it's not
messaging.
just, oh, call us if you need us, but the deadline's at 31st. It's, here's what's going to happen if you don't do that.
Yeah, that's a good thing to have in the FAQs as well. Yeah.
Okay, but also the letter directly to the.
Yes,
Okay.
we'll definitely.
Do you have a sense of the uptake so far? I mean, how many people have registered?
Yeah, so we've had our staff looking at it, and there are questions coming in, but I think there's not really any registrations happening yet.
I have a question for you. Have you guys looked at any potential choke points in terms of either the asset itself or the installation on that? Is mailing them, I mean, it's already February, so it's kind of a moot point, but is that mailing going to give them enough time to get it done if there's some supply issue or anything?
There doesn't seem to be a supply issue. The local suppliers indicate that they have various brands of meter that will work, so I haven't heard anything about not being able to get meters, so. There are a few contractors who have kind of, gravitated towards this and are offering services to install meters, so that's another help. Just a status update for each item. So as I said, the FAQs are complete, but we'll amend them to indicate that, what the penalty is. And they are posted on the GSA website. Press release, as I said, will be in tomorrow's paper. And, the press release will cover the requirements, the deadline, how they will comply or how they can comply. It'll point to the district's website, or not the district's, but the GSA's website for additional resources and links to other registration material like forms. And that is complete, but we'll add that one item. Outreach flyers, again, we have an outreach flyer that we've been using, but we're updating it to really highlight the deadline. And the outreach the flyer is done, but we just need to go deploy them now to various public sites. And then finally, direct mail to all well owners and ag customers. We'll be doing that, as I said, at the end of, or at the first week of February. Again, letter will cover an explanation of requirements, step-by-step registration instructions. We actually have a flow chart that we've developed to help people understand kind of what they need to do. Contact information for assistance. We have a specialist that's working on this, can answer all the questions about the policy. And then we do have lists of approved meters and vendors and installation contractors on the website. So we'll point, in the letter, we'll point them back to the website. It's under review, plan to send by February 6th. We'll also continue to do what we normally do in outreach, and that's just use our resources and channels. Website resource is a very good one. People generally will go to the website if they're looking for something. Social media, just to keep it front of mind for folks in Carpinteria. Nextdoor is a really great social media that we use that really is read frequently in Carpinteria. So we use that, Facebook as well. Media, so we do have rotating articles in the Coastal View that we can highlight this again. We expect to continue to do this after the 31st, just to make sure everybody's still aware of it. And then email campaigns. We have a list of emails that we've gathered through some of the discussions that we've had on this policy. And so we'll do email blasts, so they will get a notification that they should go to the GSA website and check out the meter policy because the deadline is coming. So that's all I have. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Anybody, any questions?
One more point, real quick. Sorry, Case. So do we want to call it a penalty? I don't know if we want to call it a penalty. You want to call it a penalty?
Call what a penalty?
Call if they don't do it by the 31st. Bob said, we'll include what the penalty is. And I'm simply saying, do we want to call it a penalty? Not really.
Well, because if they don't have it installed, then they're gonna stay with the property tax assessment.
Right, but
We
I'm
can
not
find
sure.
a softer word if you would like.
If you don't do it by the 31st, here's how you will be measured.
9 non-compliance outcomes.
All right, I don't care. I was only thinking that to say penalty might seem a little harsh, that's all. But say whatever you want, it's okay.
Yeah, non-compliance. We can just call it non-compliance, and then if you don't comply by, the deadline.
How you will be measured.
Here's
Thanks.
And the charges.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bob, but the property tax assessment year starts on July 1st, right?
Yes.
So anybody that wants to be measured, they should be up and running before July 1st.
Right, but we're billing back, or we're
Right,
based
it's
on
a
the
year,
the
yeah,
previous
okay.
year, so.
But you might want to explain it in your outreach also, that the clock starts ticking July 1st on your property tax assessment. If you don't like it, then
Right.
Okay.
I've got a question. Do we know if the county's still doing their rebate?
They are.
Is that linked on the FAQs or something?
Yes.
Perfect.
And we queried the county to find out if they would cover already installed meters, and if they comply with the program, they will.
Great.
And then the district is installing the transmitters if the grower wants to be part of Ion Water, right?
Yes, well, we're planning to install endpoints on all meters.
Regardless, I understand. So people should be aware of that, though, that's coming, so,
Yeah.
okay.
I've seen a few other GSAs go through this process, and it's challenging at the initial, getting all the installations done, but it really is a step forward in really understanding and collecting information to manage the basin, and also having better, more accurate information for how the costs are shared among all the users. So it is worth the effort to go through this process.
Thank you. Then we got item number 7, Executive Director's Report, Kelly.
I don't have anything specific. There were financials that were covered. Norma, did you have anything you wanted to go over on the financials?
I'll just do a brief overview. So they're included through November 30th, which were, at that time, were 42% through the year. The assessment revenues, they're usually, the first installment's usually due in November, so we don't receive them from the county till December, January. So that's why you see that revenues are only at 1% through November. Expenditures are at about 29% through the year. So
That's it.
thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, Scott, you're going to fill out a slip now.
Before you adjourn, so Scott Vanderkar, is it a two-step process, registration and metering? It's sort of a leading question because I'm wondering if you're comfortable with knowing all the wells in the basin. So you're pretty comfortable on that. Okay. And so the registration, it's not registering the well, it's registering the metering of the well. I mean, is that what this process is, or?
Well, it is registering the well, because we have institutional knowledge of where most of the wells are.
Right.
The registration program is designed to try to collect everybody, or 99.9% of the wells. Every few years we find a new well that we didn't know about. So there's a high potential that there are wells that we don't know
Okay.
about.
I'm trying to think of if there's any way to encourage people to register their wells, are there going to be some just sitting on the sidelines because you don't know about them? But I guess the non-compliance does address that to a certain extent.
Well, except if we don't know the well is there, they're getting a free ride.
Until they're found out.
Found out, right.
And
Right.
then the non-compliance part comes in, and you kind of wonder, okay, is it months, is it years? And is it an accumulation of non-compliance costing somebody? Yeah.
Through
Then
the
you can call it a penalty.
through the chair. We, every year, have been doing what we call the land use study, which looks at each parcel by parcel, and crop coverage. And we test those parcels to see if it makes sense, what the application of water is. So in other words, if they have no other water supply, or they have a meter that only provides a small water supply, water is coming from somewhere, it's typically going to be a well. And so going through that exercise every year, and we'll continue to go through that until everybody is metered, we catch these parcels that seem to have a well or some other water supply, and so we investigate those. So we do have a method to periodically do this exercise and, find out if something has changed.
All right. Thank you. Then this meeting is adjourned. We reconvene the regular district board meeting. Item number 8A, consider revision of district rules and regulations to reference of the Carpinteria Valley Water District Cross-Connection Prevention Plan. Bob, Kelly? Sorry.
Yes, this is, Carpinteria Valley Water District has a cross-connection prevention plan that was approved by the state, and so this item is a request to amend or update our rules and regulations to reflect that. And our district engineer, Brian King, is here to answer any questions, or did you want to say a few words if I missed anything? Okay, go ahead.
All right, so yeah, thank you. Just a little background. So, backflow is the prevention of water coming back through the meter on the public water system. So we've always had to follow the state rule, which was Title 17. So the state updated the requirements, and I didn't include it in the package because it's just too big, but it's the short term. It's called the handbook, and so these are like the new standards of the backflow. And one of the requirements of the state is the district had to rewrite what is our plan. So we wrote up a new plan that specifies what's backflow, when it's required, and based on the handbook. And so we submitted this to the state, and surprisingly, it passed in its first go-round. So we were proud of that. And so what we're asking now is that you update Rule 34 to recommend that it lists that the district now follows the guidelines of the handbook along with the guidelines of our plans. So, and what it does, it allows us better to be able to, when we go up to a customer and say, well, per the rules now, you have to have a backflow device, and it gives us some background on why, and per the rules, we have some, a little bit more authority, I should say. So, but that's basically it. What it is a lot more, the handbook is obviously pushing the level of requiring more systems or entities to have backflow, so we will get some pushback, but it is adopted by the state, and that's the standard, so that's what we have to follow. So, any questions? Or?
Were we supposed to vote on this tonight? Did you want our approval tonight, Brian? No, it was just information, right?
This was just information. We'll have to come back with the actual
Sure.
adoption.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
But
But-
Brian, the state is not changing the integrity of the backflow devices. Whatever we have is good enough, right? They're not telling us to put in new devices. I just want to make sure.
That is correct. It's more of items or facilities that maybe were in a gray area before under Title 17 or now are more specific. Like to be example, like it says specifically now, like fire stations. If you're a fire station, you have to have a backflow device. There's no so it's a lot more specific. But to answer your question, no. If you have a device that's already existing and installed,
Okay.
you're not going to have to update that. So.
All right. Thank you.
I have a quick question.
Go ahead.
Sure.
So just so I understand, the state is the handbook or the guidelines, or is the state the law?
The state's the law, the policy.
State's the law, and so we adopt them and put them in our rules and regulations, which is our local agency law, so to speak.
Correct.
Is there any provision in the document that we have that says in the event of a conflict between state and our book, something prevails, the most stringent prevails, or if there's a conflict, the state law prevails? I just wonder, because they're two big documents, and if there's an inconsistency between the two, there ought to be a little catch-all that deals with that.
I don't know. I mean, we're governed by the standard of the new handbook.
So it's something to consider that, in the event that our handbook doesn't comply, because it's always like, well, and then the state might update it, and then we don't get up to, so you have just something that catches it. But that's for your consideration.
And the rules and regulations give us the authority to enforce the policy. So that's, the distinction, I think, as well as just our ability to enforce and have penalties for noncompliance and
Yeah, I was just, when I started looking at it, it was like, well, God, what if there's an inconsistency somewhere? I'm not going to catch it. But some clever customer might say, aha, I've got an escape hatch here from. So anyway, something to
Well,
think about.
remember, the beauty of a lot of backflow is it still uses that word potential. So if there's a potential, you need a backflow.
Our CAP project's going to have a giant backflow to prevent it from putting, right?
Correct.
All right.
Good work getting it done, first time.
Thank you,
First time
Brian.
around.
Thank you, Brian. Item number 8B, consider resolution number 1175, authorizing the district to pay for expenditures for the Carpinteria Advanced Purification Project to be reimbursed by the State Water Resources Control Board. That's for action, Kelly?
Yes, this is a procedural item required by the state to adopt a resolution related to the loan and grants we're receiving from the State Water Board. Since we amended the amount, it's now a loan of 50 million and a grant of 15 million. It's a total of 65 million, authorizing that the district will spend those monies and seek reimbursement from the state. And so all of the language in the resolution was provided by them, and it's required in order to execute the loan. Bob, did you have anything else to add?
We have adopted 2 of these resolutions in the past, one initially and then an amended one, and now this is the second amendment.
Okay.
I have a question. I'm a little confused as to why the total amount is on this for the DFA. Why it wouldn't just be the loan amount? Like, why are we listing the 15 million in grants? What's that have to do with it?
It works, it's under the same program, the SRF program. The grant comes through that program, so the funding agreement includes both grant and loan.
Okay. If there's no more questions, can we have a motion, please?
Polly makes a motion to support Resolution 1175.
I'll second that.
We got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Then a roll call, please, Lisa.
Director O'Connor?
Aye.
Director Holcomb?
Yes.
Director Balch?
Nay?
Director Roberts?
Aye.
Director Van Wingerden?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-1.
Then we got item number 8C, consider authorizing the board president to execute an agreement with Pueblo Water Resources for construction management services for cap wells, package in the amount not to exceed $476,115 with a 10% contingency totaling $500,023,726. This is for action, Kelly.
Yes, this scope of work was previously under the, proposed under the Woodard and Curran contract, and then we removed it. So now this is just direct contract between Pueblo and the district, and it reflects their most recent fee schedule. So that is the reason for the change in the cost, a slight change. And Chris, I believe, is online to present this item and has some slides to go with it as well.
Yes, I'm here. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think Kelly summed up it pretty well, but we'll go through these slides here. So next slide. So as Kelly noted, the background here is Pueblo originally teamed with Woodard and Curran back in 2023 to provide design and construction management inspection services associated with the injection and monitoring wells. At the time, Pueblo, was being a sub. It was a little unusual, if you will, that an ESDC and design contract has both construction management and inspection services. But that is the way that we proceeded at the time. And so while Pueblo was a sub to Woodard and Curran, it was agreed with all parties it would be better for Pueblo to contract directly with the district, avoid paying subconsultant markup, and just streamline some coordination between Pueblo and the district for construction management and inspection for the injection and monitoring wells. So as a part of the approval of Woodard and Curran's ESDC amendment at the last board meeting, Pueblo's services were removed from their contract through that amendment process. Next slide. With that said, though, because of our funding and financing agreements, we cannot directly contract without going through a publicly advertised process. And so we issued an RFQ, request for qualifications, in November and received only one statement of qualifications from Pueblo. Pueblo is still the preferred firm here because of their experience and familiarity with the Carpinteria groundwater basin. Slide. So their scope of work includes field oversight of the drilling and construction of the wells themselves. They've got reporting requirements, well completion reports provided to the county, as well as NPDES compliance. They'll prepare an O&M manual, provide those initial injection and backwash procedures to the district, as well as have a manual on maintenance for the monitoring and injection wells. And then finally, several months later, after the wells are drilled and then equipped, they will come back and support field services during commissioning of the injection wells. Slide. As noted previously, so we removed their fee from Woodard and Curran's contract in the amount of $438,085, and then their revised scope of work here was for $476,115, the difference of $38,000, and really the primary difference is just rate increases between 23 and 26. Finally, the recommendation is to award and engage with Pueblo Water Services for construction management inspection services for cap injection and monitoring well drilling in the amount of $476,115, with a 10% contingency in the amount of $47,611, totaling $523,726.
Thank you, Chris. And I would note Robert Marks of Pueblo is here if there's any questions as well. I've known Robert for a very long time and worked with him in the past, and it's an excellent firm. So thank you.
Any questions from anyone? Ben, can we have a motion?
Patrick makes a motion to authorize the board president to execute an agreement with Pueblo Water Resource for construction management services for cap wells in the amount stated, with the contingency stated.
Polly seconds.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? And a roll call, please.
Director O'Connor?
Aye.
Director Holcomb?
Yes.
Director Balch?
Aye.
Director Roberts?
Aye.
Director Van Wingerden?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-1.
Then item number 8D and 8E have been taken off the agenda. So then we move on to item number 8F. Consider approving CAP EIR addendum number 2, analyzing well site number 6 for placement of project monitoring wells for action. Kelly?
Yes, this is after the EIR was adopted by the board, the location of the monitoring wells was moved, and that was not considered in the original EIR. So this is an addendum, and Chris has some slides to go over the details on this one as well. It's not a significant change to the EIR, so an addendum is appropriate rather than having to go through a new public review process. Chris?
Yep, I'm still here. Thank you.
Okay, great.
And okay, yes. So as Kelly noted, so we'll go to the next slide. Our original CAP EIR was adopted in 2019, and we had our first addendum approved in November 2024. So that first addendum really captured all of the more significant changes, although they were still insignificant as it pertains to mitigation measures, because we only processed needed to perform or provide an addendum as opposed to a subsequent EIR. And those changes included the monitoring well and injection well relocation, and then also some changes to the AWPF process and structure. With that said, since November 2024, we've had 2 additional changes to the project. And because they were changes that needed to be analyzed as a part of the CEQA process, we needed to proceed with an amendment. And in this case, again, similar to the finding back in 2024, the appropriate method for amending the EIR was through an addendum. So the changes in the proposed modified project do not meet the criteria required for a subsequent or supplemental EIR, which again would require a public review period. And so this EIR addendum just provides a mechanism to make minor changes as long as there are no new significant environmental effects or a substantial increase in severity of previously identified significant effects exist. So that's just a little bit of the background. Next slide. 2 changes we've talked about many times at these board meetings in the past. So one is the location of the Meadowview monitoring well from the end of Meadowview to now the agricultural parcel. I'll note that the agricultural parcel was considered in the original EIR, the 2019 EIR, for an injection well, but it had not been considered for a monitoring well. So for those reasons, all of the mitigation measures that were necessary for an injection well are effectively the same for a monitoring well, so there really wasn't any new meaningful mitigations needed to move forward with the monitoring well in that location. And then the next change from the project description, next slide, again, we've talked about this many times, is the addition of the flood wall. Slide's not advancing on my side. I'm not sure if it's, there we go. Okay, thank you. So the addition of the flood barrier at the entrance, and then enclosing the electrical that both support the existing facility as well as the new CAP facilities around that flood wall, so that in the event of a flood that surrounds the facility, the flood barrier will automatically rise, and then all of the equipment within the CSD boundary is protected. Next slide. So summary findings, since there are no substantial changes proposed in the modified project, no substantial changes in the circumstances in which the modified project would be undertaken, and no new information of substantial importance, which was unknown or could have not been known at the time the EIR was certified. Therefore, these impacts of the modified project are consistent with the impacts of the approved project in the EIR and addendum number 1. Finally, staff recommends the board approve addendum number 2 to the EIR for CAP.
Any questions?
I just have a comment. As in the past, I think we're continuing to see the incremental costs of making these changes to accommodate a pretty small population of the community that everyone's bearing.
Good point. I go back to the flood wall. That's always scared the hell out of me. So with this change, and I thought we would have been capturing the electrical panels, but are we comfortable with the flood wall and what it's protecting and all of that is good now with the change?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? Then can we have a motion, please?
Polly makes a motion to support addendum 2.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Then a roll call, please, Lisa.
Director O'Connor?
Aye.
Director Holcomb?
Yes.
Director Balch?
Aye.
Director Roberts?
Aye.
And Director Van Wingerden?
Yes.
Wait, Director Balch, was that it?
Aye.
Aye, okay.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 5-0.
All right. Then we got item number 8G. Consider request from Justin Kleppner regarding payments for the water supply impact fee for a 24-unit development located at 4745 Carpinteria Avenue. This is for action. Kelly?
Yes, directors, I'm going to hand this over to Bob for discussion.
Yes, staff received a request from Mr. Klettner regarding the development at 4745 Carpinteria Avenue. There were a number of fees that were levied against that project. And one of the newer fees, the water supply impact fee, was not defined in a number, if you will, when we gave him the initial estimates. And then when we gave him the final estimate, he was surprised at the amount and requested that he be able to make payments on that. And we told him that he would have to request out of the board. It's not something staff can approve. And we also told him that we were going to recommend against it because it sets a precedent. And it also involves an additional outside agreement for installments with other penalties. I'm sorry, I'm going to use the word penalties that we would have to enforce if non-payment occurred.
Okay.
What's the time frame on like the initial quote, I guess, for fees and then our implementation of that fee?
Timeline between the development of the fee and implementation?
Yeah, like, I mean, there were mid-project, I assume, like this fee was developed after the initial.
We adopted the fee in late 2025. However, we informed Mr. Klettner that this fee would be included in his fees for the building at the very beginning of his construction, or planning and construction.
But with no
numerical amount, because we hadn't been able to analyze it. So part of the analysis involves the number of units and the landscaping and, to generate a water estimate, then to compare with the allotment. And so that took a while. Things were changing on the project, even through construction. So
How many other projects are in a similar position where we didn't have the fee and advised them there might be a fee, but an amount to be determined, and now they're starting to get them? Are there?
yeah, I'm going to ask Brian to comment on that since he monitors the development requests.
Yeah, so to answer Casey, I would say we don't have any other ones.
Okay.
Because now we have, since the rule has been passed, that it's the $33,800 per acre foot, we are now able to tell customers. And in this case, we submitted to Mr. Klettner his capital cost recovery fees, his construction deposit, and then we were clear that there's this pending impact fee, but we couldn't give him a number because we didn't know what it was.
Sure. Okay, yeah, thanks, that's helpful. I didn't know if this was going to be, if we're setting a precedent that nobody else can follow. I'm not sure if we're setting a precedent, really, this is kind of a one-off case, it seems like. Is that what I'm understanding?
I think the concern with precedent is the payment plan issue, if we offer payment plans, because it gets tricky if you install it and provide water service before they've finished payment. Usually you want the payment to be complete before you provide the water service.
Right, so our normal procedure is like, we've listed out, they have to pay a construction deposit per the rules. Like, we take a certain amount for like a 1-inch service, 2-inch service, a fire hydrant. Those are due normally at the time of signing the building issuing permit. But then per our rules, it does say in there that the capital cost recovery fees have to be paid prior to the meter installation. So in this case, his capital cost recoveries are around $445,000 plus now, and this additional fee. But he's had the fee estimate for over a year, so, because he paid the construction deposit over a year ago. So.
Okay, thanks.
So like we said, we take the payment in two parts. I take it as the construction deposit and then the capital cost recovery fees and now the impact fee. It's due prior to us installing the meters.
Okay, and so he's had that impact fee for a year?
No.
Oh.
He's had
That's
the
recent.
capital cost recovery fees.
Okay.
But the impact fee wasn't approved until what,
Yeah.
October?
Yeah, last year. But he was made aware that there is a fee based on this water supply impact. So he didn't have the number, but he knew that there was a fee.
Sure. Thanks.
Any more questions?
We don't, my question just relates to other practices where we've offered some payment plan for like water leaks or something, where we give people a 3-month or 2-month billing period to pay it, or?
Yes, if they have a water leak, we give them 25%, and then they also have the option to select 3-month payment plan. But we've never done any payment arrangements with any fees like capital cost
Right,
recovery
it's just
fees
that
or any other.
nothing else, that's the only other one we've done.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Any more questions?
I just would say, I do feel for the guy because I could understand the situation, Brian, completely, and I support staff's recommendation. But at the same time, we didn't have the number because we didn't have the number, but nor could we even give him an estimate. But we did say this fee is coming, I get that, but I'm sure he was taken back.
We did have on our website,
Pardon me?
we did have on the website, there was a potential range on what the water or the cost per acre foot potentially could be.
Okay.
So that was available, so.
That's good to know. Thank you.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to deny the request and stick with the standard policies of the water district.
Second.
we got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Then a roll call, please.
Director O'Connor?
Aye.
Director Holcomb?
Yes.
Director Balch?
Aye.
Director Roberts?
Aye.
Director Van Wingerden?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Then we got item number 8H, consider resolution number 1176, updating check signers for all the Carpinteria Valley Water District bank accounts for action. Kelly?
Yes, this is a similar item, just updating the authorizations to include my name and remove Bob's.
I have
Going
a-
forward?
Sorry. I have a correction. I assume that in the middle, be it further resolved, that for checks or electronic drafts over $10,000, either general manager
Oh, yeah.
Kelly, I
Good
assume is
catch.
what responds. Yeah. That's all.
Okay, with that recommended change, can we have a motion, please?
Poly supports resolution 1176 pending that correction.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Roll call, please.
Director O'Connor?
Aye.
Director Holcomb?
Yes.
Director Balch?
Aye.
Director Roberts?
Aye.
Director Van Wingerden?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Then we got item number I8, consider LAFCO regular special district ballot for action. Kelly?
Yes, I'm going to let Bob introduce this item.
Thanks, Kelly. So this is something that came before in the middle of an election cycle. We had Durin as one of the candidates in that mid special election. She was voted in as the special district's LAFCO seat, but that term has come to an end, and so is coming to an end. So they want to do the next term. Only opposing ballot or candidate is Robert Dunlop, and I have not been able to get a hold of him. I've made a couple of calls to try to get a hold of him, but I believe he is the old operations manager at Combe many years ago, maybe pre-2010, and sounds like he's now wanting to get back into water, or is back in water. So I didn't do much research on either of these candidates, just was going to let you guys deliberate on it and give us direction.
Any comments? Matt?
No, I have no information.
No comment, sorry.
Yeah, just, I mean, Doreen's been after it for a while. I feel like she's definitely committed to the cause. It seems like I feel like I've seen her stuff come at us several times, so she seems very interested and engaged in it.
Right, my only comment is that Doreen is a wastewater person and Robert is a water person, but again, I'm gonna I'd like you guys to come up with the right solutions.
I'm fine with the.
Ms. Doreen? Then we need a motion.
I'll nominate, what's her name, Doreen? For LAFCO.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? No, roll call, please.
Director O'Connor?
Aye.
Director Holcomb?
Yes.
Director Balch?
Aye.
Director Roberts?
Aye.
Director Van Megerden?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Then we got item number 8J, acknowledge ACWA JPIA President Special Recognition Award. For information, Kelly?
Yes, this is good news. The district has been given an award. This is done annually by Aqua JPIA and provided to those agencies that have little to no claims. So that's outstanding for the district. And I don't know if, Bob, if you had anything else to add.
Just that, we have 3 programs at the district, a property program, a general liability program, and a workers' comp. And so we got awards in all 3.
Congratulations.
Yeah, and it's not the first time either.
So then we thank the entire staff for that.
It's a big help to us.
Thank you, guys. Then we got item number 9, director reports. 9A, Rate and Budget Committee meeting, January 15, 2026. Directors O'Connor and Roberts.
I can say that we just met and talked about the 2027 to 2029 3-year operatings and capital budgets in a very draft form. We didn't have any recommendations coming out of the committee at this time.
Yeah, the only comment I would add is I think it's great that we're doing it over a multi-year period.
Okay. Well, thank you both. Then we got item number 9B, COMB regular meeting, January 26, 2026. Patrick?
Yeah, I'll just offer a few highlights, and then there's there's a slide package that I included that we have digitally, but we didn't get it in time to print. It was an interesting meeting. The byline, of course, is it rained a lot. Pretty much everything was surrounding the effects and the benefits of the rain. But besides the tongue-in-cheek, and before we get into the slides, a few meaningful things. From a budget perspective, went over it quickly. They're behind on revenue and dramatically behind on expenses, which is interesting for an operating entity like that, at least in my experience. The revenue is down just from assessments and some other sort of nuances in the way that the timing works for collecting. But on the expense side, it's down because of some major projects. And we're going to hear more about a couple of these next month in February. But the Laurel Bypass and the Sheffield valve replacement, which are 2 pretty large capital projects, are delayed for various reasons, both funding and operationally. So we'll get to know a little bit more about that. With respect to the rain, that what I wasn't aware, and I'm not sure I completely understand still, is with the releases that occurred as a result of the last 3 storms, Table 2 is now triggered. And I'm not sure what that means. It seemed to be a meaningful milestone. I'm not sure it affects much, is what I could take, but
It releases the program, it triggers the release program for fisheries purposes. So
Right.
Table 2, as a certain amount of flow comes into the lake, that gets triggered, and we have to release more water downstream.
that's the simplest explanation I didn't get from before. So with that, I think the last 3 slides, Lisa, or whoever's got handle on it, I think are just interesting to show those of you that are much more experienced than I am. The first one is a graphic showing some aerial photographs, some drone photos at the very end there. Keep going. It's the 2 spills. Yeah, so that's a pretty dramatic shot of the spills actually occurring. And the stats there sort of speak to at least at Kachuma, what the totals were. So 7.9 inches in November, 12.4 inches in December, and they didn't have the data for the sort of New Year's period in there, but another storm level there. So the level lake lake level stats are there, as well as the storage increase. So those are the key statistics. I think the next slide is also meaningful, kind of relates to the kind of hydrology that we were looking at earlier from Bob's report, but this, I think, is a very positive indicator of what the benefits of the rain were. And the other last highlight, I don't have anything to speak of in the last slide, but the last highlight was there was a trout found in one of the creeks that was very remarkable. Hilton Creek. So steelhead was captured and released. One, so I'll encourage everybody to recognize there is no fishing, but it is apparently a really dramatic milestone, and it was a nice size, very aggressive fish. So.
So what you're saying, next year there'll be more?
Yeah, well.
Good, all right. Well.
So it rained a lot.
All right, thank you. And then we got item number 9C, CCWA regular meeting, January 22, 2026. Casey?
I unfortunately wasn't able to attend in person, but I monitored from afar. A lot of reports, as you can see, attached to our agenda. Nothing significant going on right now. There's a good water report that came out. NorCal is also getting rain, and there's a fair amount of water kind of everywhere, which is good news. And a lot of legislative stuff coming up, which is kind of always going on. I'm happy to pass along. There's probably 200 items that are on the agenda for that group to keep an eye on. So there's a lot of stuff going on there, and that's about it.
Okay, thank you. Then we got item number 10, General Manager's Report, 10A, the financials. Kelly?
Yes, Norma?
Yeah, yes, thank you. Yes, sir, on our water sales to actual through November, we are about 35 acre feet below projections, and that's coming from the M&I category. On our expenditures and water sales are 42.8% at 42% through the year, so just slightly over projections. Overall revenue is at 41%, and our operating expenditures, excuse me, are about 6.5% below projections at 35.5%. And if you'd like, I can just move on to the other financial.
Sure,
Okay.
please.
Yep. Okay, our investment report. So as of quarter end, the district's total cash and investments totaled approximately $15.7 million, with about $15.16 million in unrestricted funds and $573,000 in restricted funds. Unrestricted cash and investments increased by approximately $1.3 million during the quarter, and that's driven by positive operating activity and about $138,000 in investment earnings. We have approximately $8.5 million, or 56% of our unrestricted reserves invested in LAIF, earning about 4.27%, and approximately $5.2 million, or 34% invested in CAMP, earning about 4.02%. Restricted funds total about $573,000, and those are held in separate debt service and certificate payment accounts, and they're legally restricted and used solely for debt service. And there's no action required on this item. On our reserves report through period ending December 31st, the district's unrestricted cash balance stood about 1.37, or 8.5% below policy level targets. We're currently building unrestricted cash in anticipation of significant expenditures at the end of the year for our debt payments, as well as CCWA annual fixed costs. Looking at the historical trend that was in your packet, you'll see that the unrestricted cash is recovering from the heavy expenditures associated with the CAP project. The recovery is driven by a reduction in the CAP spending. Looking ahead, we're currently developing the rates model for fiscal years 27 through 29, and once finalized, the model will allow us to forecast if and when reserves might dip below that 90% policy level. If that threshold does pass, then staff will come back to the board with a formal report detailing the causes and proposed remediations. Again, there's no action required for the reserves report. On the bank update, let's see if you recall, in mid-2025 review of our accounts activity, we transitioned to a new online banking platform. Resulting from that, fees decreased from about 1,600 to 588. That's about a 13,000 annual savings in fees. And we didn't experience any reduction in service levels, so it's looking good with the bank. And on DO insurance, it's included in your packet. The policy was bound in November, and it's an annual policy, so we expect to renew it next year as well.
Okay, any questions? Thank you, Norm.
I just have a comment, and again, this is a comment. Take it for what it's intended. I think that with all the risk that we have in front of us, with the capital projects, we might consider revising our target on reserves and, have even further reserve as cushion for the kind of risks that we're taking on. So we're low where we want to be, we're trending back up. We might want to even, climb the hill a little further.
Yes, when we meet, we have a rate and budget committee scheduled for next week where we'll go over the rates model as well, and we can discuss that a little further.
Okay, thank you. Okay, then we got 10B. Kelly?
Items B, C, and D, the engineering report and intent to serve letter report and operations report all are in the packet. If there's any questions on those, we're happy to take those. Otherwise, I think we'll move on to the water supply report. Bob has some slides to present on that.
Fine, thank you. Go ahead.
Yes, a lot going on in the last month and a half with respect to water and rainfall and reservoirs. So we had, as you know, heavy local precipitation both in December and now through a couple of days of January. We're not sure if this is going to continue or if that was the winter, but just taking a look at the rainfall and the stages of reservoirs, you can see here Carpinteria measured at the fire station. We are, so 17.59 inches have fallen, and that's about 240% for this time of year, which I think is, obvious because we always get our rain in February and March. So we're way ahead of the curve here. And as you can see, we are actually at about 102% of all year rainfall, projected rainfall for averages. So anything more is going to be above average. So kind of looking at the rainfall and over time here, you can see that these are all past years. And we have, the wettest year in 1998, average year, I think that was in 2024, and then driest year in 2007. This is the current year so far, and you can see it's anomalous in that it's very high for this period of time. If the rainfall becomes normal, we would expect this to probably land somewhere in here. If it becomes dry, then probably a little bit lower. But if it continues to be wet, it will rival this wettest year. So we'll stay tuned and see what happens. So rainfall always affects our demands, and so we always want to look at that and be aware of what's going on. This chart shows rainfall on the bottom, and this is the y-axis for this rainfall, and so you can see number of inches. And then on the right, this is acre feet consumed by our customers, and this is sort of the monthly distribution of this consumption data. You can see last February and March, when we see most of our rain, it dipped, demand dipped significantly here. And now here we are earlier in the year, November, December, had a lot of rain in those 2 months. You can see it dipped the same way, probably because of irrigation schedules changing, but it did dip a little bit earlier than this previous year. November, December is shown up here, so it's obviously it's lower here. You can see that the most affected customer type is agriculture, shown in the purple here. These are normal years, normal to dry years, and these are wet years. And so you can see the ag irrigation goes way down when there's a lot of rain, which makes sense. There is a response from M&I customers as well, but not as significant. So this is our target line for overall sales. The orange line is our target over the year, and we have I believe it's on this chart, it's 3,600 acre feet sales target. This gray line is the maximum expected consumption. It's based on 2013 when we had very high demand at the beginning of the drought. But you can see it's running right along the target line, so that seems good. We'll see what happens as we continue on through the year. Breaking this apart into agriculture and M&I, you can see agriculture was earlier last year was actually skating along the max line. But then as it was raining in November and December, it corrected and crossed over the target line. So we'll see where that goes from here. M&I was low throughout the earlier years earlier months before the rain started. This is the area or the time frame of rain. You can see it's helping this line end up below the target line. We'll see if it corrects back the other way, but I think a lot of M&I use is inside use, so it really is not impacted by the rainfall. So the district, this is a comparison of Decembers over the last 4 years. And the district typically will try to pump more during the winter. And we're not competing with other pumpers that way, and we can utilize that water supply. But when there's a lot of Kachuma water or spill water, which is the case here, we're in spill conditions, so we're getting free water from Kachuma, we turn off our wells. And so in December, we had our wells running prior to the spill condition, but as soon as on the 25th, we basically turned off our wells. Kind of looking at the monthly distribution of groundwater production, you kind of see this. We're sort of on the normal trajectory, and then starting October, November, December, we basically ran our wells much less, and we'll ultimately have to pump more in these periods to get back up to our target line of 1,000 acre feet. As you know, Kachuma filled and spilled in around Christmas time, and this is kind of the pattern of what happened here in the yellow highlighted line. So this is a single storm event here, so it came up very fast, and they were managing the reservoir all during those storms to try to make sure that there was room for inflow. But pretty much maintain the water level slightly above the max storage line, and they do that by floating the radial arm gates. So they actually release water, and they let the water level come up to the top of the radial gate. So you'll notice in some of these reports that it's actually surcharged, and so that's a good thing. We have a lot of water. These are some other historic spills, so kind of generally goes more gentle, but again, this was a really short period to fill the lake. Yeah, so here you can see we're actually at 102% capacity. That's because they're floating the gates. Water elevation is 754.30. Max is fit 753. So this normally wouldn't be done, but the Bureau has kind of loosened up their operations so that they can do this to try to maintain as much water in the reservoir. This is kind of the spill, if you will. And so you can see in December around Christmas when the storm hit, they began releasing to make room for the inflow. The county water agency assists with this. They have a forecast model for rainstorms and the effect on the Santa Ynez River. So they run that model based on NOAA QPS and generate a curve that they want to implement on releasing. So these are pre-releases, and as the storm subsided, you can kind of see that the amount of water leaving the reservoir lowers, and then as the second storm came in, again, they managed the releases to make room, and now it's in sort of the flow coming into the lake. It's the low flow, but it's continuous, so they've been releasing at that rate. So when we have a spill event at Kachuma, we lose all the first water over the spillway is state water that's stored in the lake, and then the second is carryover water from a previous year. We had about 2,000 acre feet of carryover water in Kachuma when the spill hit, and so we essentially lost that. We try to make up for that by taking exclusively Kachuma water as long as the spill event is occurring. It doesn't impact our allocation, and so we'll recover some of that 2,000 acre feet through the next several months. So water supply availability, you can see from 2024 it's declined largely because of the spill that occurred. We have significantly less Kachuma water. 2840 is roughly our annual allocation in the Kachuma project.
Hey, Bob, during the Combs presentation, I just sort of thinking through how you were describing it, I got the impression that the spill was going to continue like well into, the second quarter of this year, sort of, May or June at that lower rate. Mm-hmm. Does that leave the window open then for this nuance of us being able to recover the lost?
Yes.
Okay, so as long as that's continuing to occur, we can exclusively draw water and recover that.
Yes, and it's the Bureau's decision when they're ready to stop. It's at this point, based on past history, it does sometimes go out pretty far into the spring and summer, but we can't say that for sure.
Thank you.
Yes, and then as far as state water, we still do have the volume that we're considering selling, but during that rain event, United was the agency that was going to purchase our excess state water, or surplus state water. All of their reservoirs filled up, and so they were unable to, exercise the agreement to take that water. We are negotiating with them again to see if we can figure out a window in which their reservoirs will have space and they can move the water. So hopefully we can get that done, or hopefully it won't spill. It's very difficult at this point to figure out if San Luis is going to spill because of the weird weather pattern that dropped a lot of rain but not much snow. And so snowpack generally drives water supply from Oroville and into the state water system. So you can see here, again, our current Northern 8-station index snow impact is here. And we are above the average, which is the blue shaded area, but if we don't get a number of storms like we do normally in February and March, then it's likely we'll fall short, and that would mean that not as much water would flow as the snow melts into the Oroville and Feather River system. The mid San Joaquin 5-station index looks closer to average, but again, there's an issue to see what happens in February, March, and where that'll end up. It's above average currently, but again, if it doesn't increase, it could affect State Water Project, and it might not spill. Let's see. I don't have the southern index, but that actually had a little bit more snow accumulation in the southern Sierras. So you probably read in the news that for the first time, all of California is out of a drought. I've always taken this drought monitor with a grain of salt because of the way that they test to see if there is a drought. They really are looking at rainfall primarily and lake levels, not water supply conditions. And so this can hide some of the problems that actually exist. But again, I think this is big news, made some headlines. These are statewide reservoirs. Generally, everything is either at historic levels or even higher. And so you can see the main reservoir Oroville here is pretty high. This is the historic average for this time of year. We're here. Obviously, that could be that the storm patterns being early has affected where the level is. San Luis Reservoir. I have another chart that details San Luis Reservoir, but looks like it's very full. Remembering that that reservoir is shared by the federal government and the state of California. We have 50%, it's 2 million acre feet. So this is a breakdown of San Luis Reservoir and the storage. So you can see this dark blue is the DWR share, which is the State Water Project. And you can see this is the halfway line. And so it's very close. And over these months, there wasn't much water in the federal system, but over time they've been increasing, so you can kind of see this rising. I suspect with Lake Shasta full that this will rise pretty quickly, and then if this rises a little bit, it's going to be a spill condition. So it just depends on these months here what happens up there, but we're still concerned about losing that 2,500 acre feet of state water. Snowpack is below average. Oh, actually, I think I was talking about the rainfall in those last index. But California snow is, let's see, percent of April 1st average is 35%. And percent of normal is 98%, so I'm not sure.
90.
Oh, 90%. So we are here. The blue is the average. And so it looks like we're riding right along the average for this this item. And then I think this is a separate index here. And then here we are riding along the average. So it does look like, oh, here we go. These are different dates, yeah. So this shows us, further in, but it is dropping below the average here, you can see, in January. So again, if it doesn't snow more, then it's likely we'll have an issue. So initial allocation is 10% for the State Water Project. They're always very conservative in December. It's almost a rule that they're going to say 5 to 10% in this month. And so we'll see what happens as time goes on. So that's it. Any questions? I'd be happy to try and answer.
Bob, just Yeah, question. If we're not pumping, do we have any wells that we can use right now to inject, since there is spill water available, or you're not considering that?
We don't have permits to do that, so no.
Can you just do it? No, I'm just kidding.
We do have El Caro and headquarters. They are injection capable, ASR capable, but again, we don't have permits to do it.
So what is it gonna take to get the permits? Because, and once you have the permit, are you able to?
Well, Robert Marks is here. He's probably the best one to answer that question. We are planning to acquire a permit for Smiley Well once it is constructed.
Right.
But Robert has been working on the process for other agencies.
I am Robert Marks, hydrogeologist with Pueblo Water Resources. What it would take to get permits to inject at your existing El Caro and headquarters wells. There's a statewide general permit for doing injection, and there are a couple of different levels to it. One is a pilot test permit, which you can get with doing a minimal type of CEQA analysis. That time frame to get that permit in place is about 6 months from the time that it's submitted to the state. So if we started working on it tomorrow, it would probably take about 3 months to get the application package together, and then another 6 months for the state to process that. So that would be for a temporary 2-year permit. To get a permanent permit to inject, you would have to do a full CEQA analysis for that, and the time frame on that is probably 6 months to a year, something like that.
But then the permit's good for life? I mean,
Yeah. Yes.
so what is the thought that we're gonna, because by the time we get even the 2-year deal, the water stops spilling, so there's no more spill water, so I'm assuming we're moving ahead then with the permanent,
For the Smiley Well, the El Caro well and headquarters well, if you try to operate an ASR project with those wells, it will interfere with CAP. So it's unlikely that we'll need or want to get a ASR permit for those wells. We're already injecting in the center of the basin, so it's creating a sort of a bubble that then would be interfered with if we start injecting at the El Caro and headquarters well. But Smiley, we intend to pursue a permit, first the 2-year pilot and then the long-term permit.
but isn't that the well that still needs to be built, though?
Correct.
right.
Smiley, so how long is it gonna take to build that, sir?
It's about a 2-year project.
Yep.
So there's no thought of even the temporary on the other 2 wells, because we won't have CAP online for
Yeah,
this.
we discussed that as an option. It is money, it's some amount of money that we would have to spend for a short-term benefit, so we haven't thus far pursued that.
Just curious, what will it cost to, ballpark, to do the 2-year application and the permanent application?
About $50,000 per well to get the application submitted. And then there would need to be some relatively minor capital improvements required. Some equipment would need to be installed in each of those wells to allow injection to occur. Rough estimate, about $100,000 to $150,000 of equipment installation.
Is there any appetite here for that?
I mean, I would just add, I guess, that I feel like for years you've brought this up and we just don't hear anything about it. We don't make any progress on it. We don't have any direction on it. We just kind of sit and chat about it towards the end and don't get anywhere for whatever reason. So I don't know if it's something that we want to agendize and get some sort of report on, is like a formalized what it takes, or if it's not feasible, then it's not, but I feel like we kind of get, like, it's feasible, but we don't ever explore beyond chatting about it shortly.
There's only so much we can bite off it at one time, but some sort of status report on it. Right now, we're working toward injecting other water in a major project. I don't know if we have that project going, are we going to really want to be set up to inject even more water? Maybe we will, maybe we won't, I just don't know. In the water supply scenario, we just bit off another 1,000 acre feet. And remember, every water that we inject, it's not free. The Bureau fees for water is not very expensive, but the conveyance and treatment to get it to a stage where we can inject it is $1,500 an acre feet, or maybe, something like that, maybe, I don't know, a little less maybe.
Yep.
Today. More tomorrow. I don't know, I mean, certainly, we could look at, in 2026, an agenda item to evaluate if there's a reason to pursue additional injection. I'm not against that at all.
Right, but as it stands right now, the two wells that we won't be using 2 years from now, I mean, personally, I don't think we should spend a lot of money there, but we do need to pay attention to the Smiley well, because 2 years from now, but it's going to take a year to get the permit for the Smiley well.
Right.
So we should have it on the agenda in the next 6 months to make a decision.
I guess a very question I would have is that the injection wells related to CAP would never be used for other water injection as well? They're going to be unique absolutely regulatorily, or would there be an option to inject other water than CAP water, or they just don't have the capacity?
They don't have the capacity. The only way you could inject in the CAP wells is if for some reason the AWPF plant went down and you didn't have that water to inject. But
during down when there happens to be a spill going on.
yeah. I mean, right now, assuming the CAP project is fully operating, those two injection wells will be running 24/7, 365 days a year in order to get the AWPF product water into the ground. And as Bob mentioned, with CAP in place and those wells injecting, doing ASR at your headquarters and El Caro wells are essentially, it's mutually exclusive with CAP. We need to actually pump the El Caro and headquarters wells to maintain water levels in the basin below ground surface with CAP injection. Now, having said that, there's been some work done recently in conjunction with Montecito Water District to analyze injecting in the sort of the recharge area of the basin, and Smiley well is in that area and was one of the wells that was evaluated as part of that study. And there are opportunities for ASR in that part of the basin, and the current plans are to make Smiley well an ASR well.
So that's kind of in the context of offering outside agencies water banking opportunities.
Perhaps, or that's above my pay grade, but hydrogeologically and well capacity-wise, the Smiley well is a definite ASR capable and should be worth pursuing for sure.
So that's something we're doing.
Right, but that's why I'm asking.
Stepping in that direction.
We're going in that
Personally, it
direction.
seemed to me Smiley should be our focus, because, but
Yeah.
if we don't maybe review it by the middle of this year, then we should be up and running a year and a half from now, so.
Yeah, the plan is to get started on the permitting phase for Smiley well ASR in about 6 months or so is the current schedule. The idea or the plan is to have the permitting in place to do the short-term pilot testing at Smiley well as soon as it's done being constructed, which is about a year from now.
Okay, so then those will both happen before the end of the year then?
Well, we'll be starting on the process, yeah.
But if the well, it will be done by the end of the year.
No, we'll start drilling on the Smiley well about a year from now.
Okay.
And then the pilot test would probably start injecting in the March, April timeframe, a year plus from now.
Okay, so then both would coincide, so at least if there's spill water available, then we can use that well.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to see from the rest of the board if we didn't want to spend any money, but I mean, personally, I don't think we should waste any money on the other two wells, just focus on Smiley then and move forward, so.
Yeah, and, you know, the wells are expensive to build, and so our approach has been to try to get a well ready and primed for grant funding, and so we did that with El Caro number 2 well. I believe we did it with headquarters where we had grant money coming in. And we're trying to do that with Smiley. So we already have a $2.9 million grant. We're hoping to get more from the state.
Okay, yeah, that's good.
The last comment I would make, this falls in the category of strategic planning to me. You know, just because you have a strategic plan doesn't mean it's budgeted. So you're not committing, but you're putting together the logic of a plan that you make every effort to follow. So I think we should do it.
But we're already on track for the Smiley well as far as the grants you got and whatever else you're still trying to get. So we're in good shape, so. Okay. Thank you. Then we go on to item number 11, consider dates and items for the agenda for Carpinteria Valley Water District Board meeting of February 11, 2026 at 5:30 p.m. Carpinteria City Hall, 5775 Carpinteria Avenue, Carpinteria, California, and we are adjourned, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you.